newly created House of Assembly of the Southern Cameroons, met on 26 October 1954. Dr. Emmanuel Mbela Lifafa Endeli emerged as leader of the Southern Cameroons. His official title was Leader of Government Business, the reason being that the Southern Cameroons was a quasi-region and therefore only semi-autonomous. In 1955, Endeli's political views changed, and he advocated for greater integration of Southern Cameroon with Nigeria, which made Njongu Foncha and Solomon Muna to leave the party and create an opposition party called the Cameroon National Democratic Party (KNDP). In 1957, United Nations Resolutions 1064 of 26 February 1957 and 1207 of December 13, 1957 called on the administering authorities to hasten arrangements for trust territories to attain self-governance or independence. After the resolution by the United Nations, Southern Cameroons attained the status of a full region and became autonomous and fully self-governing, and the House of Chiefs was also created. This meant an election was to be conducted to vote in the new Prime Minister. The election was mainly between John Foncha's KNDP and Dr. Endeli's KNC. Dr. Endeli won the elections and became the first Prime Minister of Southern Cameroon. Few months later, Dr. Endeli was replaced by John Foncha, whose ideologies of functioning independently from Nigeria was highly accepted by the people of Southern Cameroons. Foncha became the second Prime Minister, the 1st of February 1959. 1 month after Foncha became Prime Minister, the United Nations decided to put an end to all trusteeships by 1960. French Cameroon was the second sub-Saharan country after Guinea to gain its independence on the 1st of January 1960. Britain was asked to conduct a plebiscite in its territory with two options. Number 1. Do you wish to achieve independence by joining the Independence Federation of Nigeria? Number 2. Do you wish to achieve independence by joining the Independence Republic of Cameroon? The reason why British Cameroon wasn't given a third option for independence was because it had been reported that Southern Cameroon was not economically capable of sustaining itself as an independent state. During the plebiscite, which took place on the 11th of February 1961, British Northern Cameroon, which had already been integrated in Nigeria, massively voted to join Nigeria, while British Cameroon reluctantly voted to join French Cameroon. Northern Cameroon eventually joined Nigeria in June 1961, while Southern Cameroon joined French Cameroon on October 1st. Northern Cameroon, which was predominantly Muslims, formed part of today's Borno, Adamawa and Taraba states of Nigeria. Since the plebiscite, 11th February is celebrated in Cameroon as Youth Day, and it's also a public holiday. Now, the choice of calling this day Youth Day instead of unification is an entirely different story. After Southern Cameroon voted to join French Cameroon, it was agreed that Britain, the UN, Southern Cameroons and French Cameroon would meet in July to discuss the terms of federation and draft a constitution. 2 weeks before the constitution, there were reports that more than 100 people were killed by terrorists in some towns in French Cameroon, particularly in Loum, Bafang, Ndom and Douala. The reports worried unification advocates who wanted British Cameroon to unify with French Cameroon. For this reason, Fumban was chosen because it was peaceful, had a good climate and had recently been renovated. The leaders of French Cameroon wanted to make an impression and portray Ahidjo as a good leader who had everything under control. Then the Southern Cameroon went to Fumban. They met in Bamenda and deliberated on points that would be included in the constitution. Among many things, the leaders of Southern Cameroon, whilst in Bamenda, agreed on a non-centralized federation to ensure that there was a distinction between the powers of the state and the powers of the federation. During the conference, which lasted 3 days, the United Nations and Britain didn't show up, leaving just the two Cameroons to their fate. Ahidjo, who was the president of the newly independent French Cameroon, presented a draft constitution to the people of the Southern Cameroon. A conference which was meant to establish a new constitution instead became a modification of Ahidjo's proposed constitutions. There was intense deliberations and negotiations, and due to the fact that the French Cameroon delegation outnumbered the Southern Cameroon delegation, most of the proposals presented by